Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home Service Hustle. I'm your host, Jonathan Bannister, and today I am with Michael James Johnson. He is the owner and founder of AC Man in Fayetteville, North Carolina. He also has a consulting company called Sales Elite. A lot of people know him by James Michael Johnson on the consulting side. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You go by Michael or James?
Michael. James is my middle name.
Okay. All right. I like the whole Michael James Johnson, using all three names. I like that. So you've had the air conditioning company in Fayetteville since 2005. What was before that? Were you working for someone else? How did you kind of get into the space and having your own company?
So I joined the Air Force straight out of high school.
Okay.
Right. Thought I was going to be. Yeah, thank you. I thought I was going to be Olympic track athlete, just like most kids think they're going to, have this sports career. So I joined the Air Force with, it's kind of like my bridge. I was going to try to join the track team there and everything, but it didn't work out. But while I was in the Air Force, we ended up I worked on 300 different types of equipment for the aircraft. And one of those was heating and air conditioning. So I did how time flies. I had a 6-year Air Force career, but it's almost like I blinked my eyes and woke up and 6 years was over. And it was time to find a career. So I looked at those 300 different things that we had, kind of narrowed it down to 2 things that could serve the community. One was generators and one was air conditioning. I pretty much flipped a coin and it was a good choice.
I love it. So you went to a local company first and got some experience. And how long were you there, or how many companies were you at before you started AC Man?
So I was really, I'm always thinking ahead. It's just something that because we didn't grow up rich. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. We kind of grew up in a tough neighborhood. My dad was an electrician. He worked super hard to provide for us, but I always had to look ahead. I'm never going to find myself in a bad position and then try to figure it out. So while I was still in, what I would do is I was working night shift in the Air Force. So during the day, I opened the phone book. I used to have a phone book back in the day. I opened the phone book and just started calling HVAC companies to see who I can just ride with for free. So I call, say, hey, I'm a soldier here. You get people hanging up. And then one guy said, yeah, you can ride with me and be my helper. And pretty much I had to carry the tool bag and hold the ladder and all that. So I did that for a couple months while I was still in the Air Force. Okay. And when I got out, I worked for an HVAC company for about 30 days before I said, hey, you know what, this ain't working. I'm going to do this on my own. And I jumped out on my own. I had an old beat down truck that someone gave me for free because they didn't have any money. And that was the start of it.
That's a cool story. I mean, look, that's some big risk, right? But I mean, you knew inside of you, and look, maybe, when you reflect on things, maybe it was a good thing. Obviously, it doesn't sound like it was a really well put together company that you worked for. You must have saw some things that you didn't like or the way it was ran. And you were like, I could run it this way, my own with no experience. And then I wonder what life would have been like if you'd have worked for, one of those companies that had all the processes dialed in, and really you seem like the person that would have just taken that experience, kind of like working at Chick-fil-A. You'd have taken the processes and then you'd have went to your next, venture in life and just applied that. It wasn't like you would have wanted to stay there for 20 years invested in someone else. So what do you think that did for you working for somewhere where clearly you saw some things, and maybe you can mention some of the things that you saw that only allowed you to stay there 30 days. What do you think that's helped you apply, to the last 21 years?
Yeah. So the interesting thing was, even though Air Force was very, very process-based, incredibly process-based, we couldn't do a task. We couldn't connect 2 wires together without having the manual in front of us right there, because that's how they are. You could get in trouble if you could be in for 15 years. If you don't have the manual there while you're doing it, checking those boxes, you would get written up. So even though Air Force was really process-based, I ignorantly jumped out there on my own with no processes, like most people do when they start their companies, unless they worked for that big company. My mindset was the typical, hey, I know how to fix AC, my boss is making $1,000 and I'm making $10 an hour. I'm just going to go do it without any processes, thinking that the business was just fixing the machines. Right. So if I did work for one of those bigger companies, I think I would be a little bit more knowledgeable on what was needed. I had a rough first couple of years, to be honest. But, you know, those couple of years did teach me what it is actually like, what happens when you don't have the processes. You know, like I say, when I'm consulting people, I say, I didn't learn it from a book. How to run a company. I grew my company. It runs without me because I have such an amazing team, incredible people. But even though I wrote the book, I didn't learn it from the book. I know what it's like to work 60, 70 hours a week, have tons of clients, fixing lots of machines and not able to pay the mortgage.
Right.
You know, I lost my first house, you know. So I know what that pain is, and I know what the mental limitations are against, you know, well, you have to price right. You got to raise your prices. You got to have a sales process. You got to have this. You got to hire people. I knew psychologically what, you know, what was stopping me from doing that. You know, those excuses, you probably hear them all the time as a marketer.
Yeah.
Oh, my customers aren't going to go for that. That's not going to work in my town. That might work in Dallas, but it ain't going to, all those stupid excuses that were fear-based.
Yeah.
I lived that for years. And even when I want to, you know, grab the tools and jump back in and kind of have that do-it-yourself mindset, because I know the pain that's associated with that, it keeps me, you know, process-based.
So lead me kind of into this question here, what you're talking about, right? So your company's obviously thrived in a very competitive market. And it's only in the last 21 years, I'm sure you've seen your surrounding area grow tremendously. What specific strategies or values do you believe have been key to the success that you've seen?
So I think there's a couple things that are really, really big, and they're not difficult, right? But they're so simple that sometimes people brush past them. Number one is the perception that you have in the community, right? Okay. We tend to think as tradesmen, you know, I'm a plumber, electrician. All the homeowner cares about is, you know, am I going to do the job well? But guess what? They don't know if you're a good electrician. Just because you're a good electrician, they don't know that.
Right.
What they're looking at is the nonverbal cues. If you pull up with the white van and it's unmarked, that doesn't make you a bad electrician. But in a homeowner's mind, you know, you're just a run-of-the-mill, you know, probably a one-man show. You probably don't have money for a sign. You have these massive companies with these gorgeous trucks. In the customer's mind, that is a more professional HVAC person.
Yeah.
So number one is the perception, making sure that you're perceived how you want to be perceived through branding. And then number two, if I would have known earlier, the singular most important thing is reaching out to your customers. Every single customer that you touch at any point, they call your company, you do a service call, you do an estimate, no matter what it is, that those customers need to go into a database and they need to be on an email newsletter. They need to get text messages, because if you need money, if you think about it right now, I don't know if you work with HVAC companies a lot. I think you do.
Primarily.
Yeah. Okay. So you're HVAC. So you hear this a lot right now at the time of this recording. It's fall time. Mm-hmm. Everyone is struggling. Oh, I need customers. I need money. All you have to do, if your customers are in your database and you're ready to text them, you're ready to email them, if you need money or revenue or jobs, all you have to do is create an offer and then just email your customers about it or call them up.
That's right.
Yeah. But if you don't have that, you don't know how to email the customers, your list is not organized, you don't have an email newsletter, then what do you have to do? You have to run ads.
You know, I mean, this is like music to my ears, you know, to hear you say this, because you're one of the few, you know, you're in a very, very small group of people that understand this, right? And obviously you didn't learn it day one, you know, and this is why I've transitioned this podcast to bring on contractors, because I want more people in here like you that can help educate and train and teach other people that don't understand this. you'd be surprised, and maybe not because you do consulting. So you talk to some other air conditioning companies, but we, over the years, you asked the question, well, how big is your database? Oh, I mean, we've got 15,000 people in it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what does the campaign look like? Right. Or what is the email frequency? What is the text frequency? What is the outbound frequency? Oh yeah, we don't touch it. Mm-hmm. We need to get better at that. And I'm like, you don't send just an email out each month? No. I'm like, it costs nothing. It's so inexpensive to do email marketing, but you're not even having to go buy a cold list. These are people that already trust you. You've been to their house at some point. Some are going to actually be in a maintenance contract with you. But that's a touch point. That's an easy touch point to keep your brand and that brand awareness in front of them. One of my favorite things that I like doing, Michael, is I like using video to embed a YouTube video, a educational video, right? 5 reasons why you need to change out your filter on a regular, consistent basis, whatever, all these tips and advice. But sending it out to my database of my customers' database, but then we put a retargeting pixel in it. All we need them to do is open it, and they're going to open it because they trust the sender. And now you can retarget them on YouTube for pennies on the dollar because they're already in your database. They're yours.
Yes.
Don't go ask YouTube to find you customers. Like, here is your customers. Well, we haven't talked to them maybe in 5 or 6 years. Even a better reason to get in front of them. Yeah, it's almost disheartening sometimes. It's like a lot of times the business owners they're the reason, right? And they want to blame it on the weather, the marketing company, but at some point you've got to get these tools and resources and say, I'm going to build out a system and I'm going to be consistent with it. But it's like all these people want these quick hits. And I'm out, and you understand this. You were talking about, people think that plumbers or air conditioning people, they just want you to come do a good job. And it's like, they don't know what a good job is. No, they want a relationship. No different than if they were going to get their hair cut or some other service. They want a relationship there. They don't want just the service done. They want to be able to trust and feel good. You're letting someone in your home. Yes. You want to be able to know that you can trust your kids can keep playing and be safe because the air conditioning man, he's like family now. But people want this they want leads. But what they're not realizing is that they're losing the relationship. And so they need to build relational transactions and not just a transaction that is purely about a transactional one, right? Where there's just money exchange in hands. Because I want people to understand this. When you go buy a lead from Google, Angie's List, Home Advisor, Yelp, wherever it comes from, if you have no brand equity established with that customer at all, it is purely transactional. And here's what will happen. Hey, how fast can you get out here? I got a problem. Oh, well, if you can't get out here that sooner, I'm just going to call someone else, right? They don't care about you. There's no loyalty. Okay, you can get out here? Cool. Now, as fast as you got to their house, they want you to fix the problem and get out of their house. So when you start going, well, wait, I wanted to show you this and this and this and all these other offers, they're not interested because you don't have a relationship with them. So it makes sense. You have to build the relationship before they come to your home.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a cool story that happened to me. So we renovated one of our bathrooms recently.
Okay.
About 6 months ago. And it started out with something really small. I don't even remember what it was. I think we had to fix our toilet. We had a leaky toilet, something like that.
Okay.
And so I told my wife, she said, hey, find a plumber. Okay. So I called one of my friends who's a plumber, a literal friend. And he came by and he walked in the bathroom with me and my wife, and he's looking at the toilet. So, oh, it's going to be X amount of dollars. He never looked at her ever during the presentation. He never spoke to her, even though she was there. He didn't greet her. He just greeted me because he's a friend. So he gives the quote. He leaves. My wife says, find someone else, right? So, and so I called this other guy. Never met him. This guy comes in, shakes my hand, shakes my wife's hand, asks her name. Same thing. I walk to the restroom. I show him, I want to fix this toilet. the whole time he's talking to me and he's talking to her. Right. So he's sharing like equal time, probably more like 70% her.
Yeah.
And then he's explaining to her, Miss Johnson, he's calling her, right? So, and he's saying, oh, and we can do the shower and we can do this. I ended up completely doing the whole shower, all because my wife liked him.
Right.
Is he
Because
a better
she's the
plumber than the other guy?
decision-maker. At the end of the day, she's the decision maker. And it's that way in the majority of homes, whether people want to accept it or not.
Yeah.
Right.
And the other guy my friend could have won the job.
Right.
He could have. And is the guy went with a better plumber than him? I don't know.
Yeah.
She didn't feel safe with him. She didn't feel respected. She didn't feel seen. And so it's exactly what we talked about. It's not about, well, I'm a good plumber, and if I just do a good job, people will use me. We're dealing with humans, and humans, they react more to trust and emotional connections. Just, you have a license.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about that.
I mean, Michael, I know technicians. There's one in my market. He actually just left one of the biggest companies here in Dallas, getting ready to go out on his own or invest into another company here, and he's going to be an operator. He's made $7 million 3 years in a row as a selling technician, but he does it with his personality. It's not by his skill set of fixing air conditioners. He goes in and he builds relationships and he builds trust with people. And you do that, like, you know, whether it's shooting a video or having the company have some kind of video of what to expect, the technician's on his way. Or, you know, the technician can just say, hey, Mrs. Johnson, just want to shoot you a quick video. I'm on my way. Just want to let you know I'll be there in about 10 or 15 minutes. Now they get to see who this person is, how they present themselves. And then when you carry that along the house and you're not going in trying to do the sales techniques where it's like, oh, you're a Cowboys fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. You know, you're a fisherman. I'm a fisherman. Stop mirroring people. Be real. Build that relationship. Follow up with them. You know, the technicians think like they can't follow up because they're so busy and they want to wait for the next lead or, you know, the next, marketed lead come their way. But it's like, follow back up with the customer and just see how they're doing and make like people just want to feel that they're cared about and taken care of, just like we all do. I think it's human nature. We want to feel that way, but that will build so much trust and credibility on the next visit. Right. Because if you did it the right way, there will be a next visit. There'll be one in the spring and one in the fall for the next year after year after year after year. So,
and you should be texting them about the next visit, to be honest, right? That brings them what we were talking about earlier. I mean, in my company, every 6 months after every single job, when we hit close on that job in our CRM, 6 months later, the customer gets a text message, right? And says, hey, can you believe it's been 6 months since we last serviced your AC? And I mean, you should be reminding them. And of course, they're going to book based off of their interaction with you last time, right? So, yeah, it's a system. It's not just fixing machines. It's a system. There's not a coincidence why some companies grow and some don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, another thing is, you know, I look at it as touch points or like impressions. I like touch points better. You've got to figure out how do you get those touch points in, whether it's a new customer or an existing customer. If you don't keep your brand in front of that customer, like you're not Starbucks to them. You're not that place they are going to go to no matter what every single time. So if you don't keep that brand awareness in front of them and you don't make them feel special, when they get into that fight or flight moment, if you haven't locked in and locked down that brand equity to where it's household name, you are the name or the jingle, the thing that pops in their head.
Yep.
If you don't do that, they're going to run back to that regular move they do, which is pick up their phone, go to Google or go to ChatGPT, whatever they use. And they're going to go back to that cycle. Even look, you don't know how many times I've heard my clients go, yeah, like we've got people that were in they're in a maintenance contract with us and they went to another company. And I'm like, but if you think that's only because of price, you're sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
They didn't go to them because they're cheaper. They went to them because they forgot about you or they felt like you forgot about them. So they don't want to be with you anymore.
Yeah. Right? They don't know you. If you ask someone, I used to do this with my clients, I would say, hey, what did you eat for breakfast yesterday? You have to think about it. You have to think about what you ate for breakfast yesterday, not what your friend ate.
Yeah.
Do you think that they remember the guy that serviced their AC 6 months ago just because they're on a maintenance contract? Typically, they forget, which is why you have to reach out to them. And I love what you said about price. McDonald's and Starbucks are the number 1 and 2 biggest restaurants in the world.
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's is not the best hamburger in the world. Okay. Starbucks is not the best cup of coffee in the world. It's pretty bad, actually.
Nope. Yeah, right.
Also, it's $6.
Try.
So they're selling a cup of coffee for 6 times the cost, and it's a bad cup of coffee. That right there eliminates the idea that people buy just on price. People buy on emotions.
Mm-hmm.
People buy due to lack of friction, right? If it's easy just for me to pull in my, let me open my email because a guy emailed me last week. It's easier to find, instead of thinking, oh, what was the name of the company? That's a nightmare for me. It's one of the worst things when we go to people's houses and the people say, well, I'm on a maintenance contract, but I tried to call the company that I'm on a contract with, but they didn't answer, or, I couldn't remember the name. That's very scary because it can happen to you. And those are the things we have to think about.
Yeah. I've got a new book coming out the end of the month. Right. It's a little brash, right? But it's why building a memorable brand matters more than rankings. This is 10 years of frustration dealing with I call them the tech cartels, Google and making all the rules. They play on both teams. They're the referee, it's super unfair. But what I've learned about branding over the last few years has changed my complete mindset to the way I think about digital marketing or marketing and advertising in general. But I mentioned Starbucks. I mentioned McDonald's in here because I talk about in the book, you can be a kid. You can have a kid in a car seat. If they're old enough to talk and they ride past McDonald's, they know what that place has. And there's not a hamburger, chicken nugget, or French fry on their logo. It's just golden arches, right? Yeah. And I say if a kid is 7 to about 12, they know what Starbucks is, even though they don't drink coffee. And there's not a cup of coffee on that mascot that they have either, right? That's branding. And then I tell this, I got to see it personally, Michael, a couple weeks back, about 6-7 weeks ago. I was coming back from my storage unit. I was in my wife's SUV. I had my 12-year-old sit next to me in the passenger seat. And we're driving, and this car is coming at me, and a rock's in the air. And usually it's the car in front of me, but it was coming from the other lane. But I see it, and I'm like, man, if that hits, it's going to hurt because it was big. And it hit the windshield and immediately started spreading across the windshield. And, man, I was so angry. And then right then, my 12-year-old goes, safe light repair, safe light replace.
Oh,
and I just looked at him, and I was like, wow. I went from angry to smiling. I said, well, there's branding. You're 12 years old. We've never used Safe Light up until that incident. He doesn't know. I said, so you've heard that jingle on one of the ads on YouTube or something, and it's stuck in your head. You're 4 years away from driving a vehicle, but you know that. I said, that's what our clients could be the same way. Contractors can be the same way. You can be a local celebrity. You just got to go out there and earn that status.
Yeah, and 100%. It's funny because, a lot of times you've seen it where if you're doing marketing, you're helping your company kind of present themselves in the community, helping a company run ads or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have a strong brand that's memorable. So you're spending more money. Safe Light is probably spending less money getting people to remember it, right?
Oh, absolutely they are. Yeah. And if brand awareness is a whole lot cheaper than lead generation.
Yes. Yeah. If you look and go, if someone clicks off this and goes on my company's social media, you will rarely ever see a post where there's not a branded truck behind me and a logo on. And it's very, very prominent. Why? Because I want people to say, and people say this to me all the time, I don't have a 300 truck, 100 truck company. I don't have 100 trucks on the road. But often people say, I see your trucks everywhere. They don't see them everywhere. They're recognizing it because they saw it on Facebook. And it's just, you think you see it everywhere. So you don't have to have $1 million Super Bowl budget. You just have to present your brand correctly, and you have to do it intentionally.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about what does company culture look like? How do you ensure that your team remains motivated and aligned with the business goals?
Well, for one, I think you have to make sure that you always remember that your employees or your workers are humans and they have motivations and they have goals.
Yep.
Right. A lot of times, especially when you get into the older generation, and I mean, I won't say unfortunately. Fortunately, I'm getting into the older generation because I'm glad to still be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But baby boomers and Gen X like myself, we were raised in the trades to where, hey, if get it done or don't get it done. If giving you a paycheck is me saying thank you. That doesn't fly with retention. Your employees have financial goals. There's a certain type of house they want to buy. There's a certain amount they want in their bank account. Maybe they're not financially motivated. Maybe they like freedom. Maybe they like a freer schedule. And when you find that out in one-on-ones with your employees, it's like the saying, if I help you win, I'll win, right? Yep. If I can win and my employees can win and the customers can win, creating a pretty powerful culture. So long story short, what I like to do is I like to treat my employees as people, find out what their motivations are. I have one employee who just wants to make sales and he wants to make money and he wants to work on holidays and he wants to work on weekends, and I give it to him. Then I have another employee who's married that wants to be off, and that's fine. So I find out, how can I get him to his goal? How can I get him to his goal? But I can't do that if I don't know, if I don't spend time with them. I just give him a paycheck every Friday. All right.
Was it Zig Ziglar said, you can have anything you want in life as long all you got to do is help enough people get what they want, and that's that same thing. I mean, like, you could literally build an entire battle force behind you, but in order to have a team of A players, rock stars that are always going to support you and help you the way, or see the same vision the way that you do as the owner, is that you have to empower them, and you do have to find out, like, what motivates you. What are you interested in? Is it growing? Is it becoming a manager, or is it like you want to, there's times I hear stories, some of our clients, they find out that one of the team members like wants to own their own company. And what they do is they sit down with them and they bring them more into the understanding of what that's going to take. And they put a plan together because they're like, look, he's super valuable to me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do any good for me to be fearful that he's going to one day be a competitor. It's like, no, let me empower him. I may empower him so much that he sees everything that goes into it and he doesn't want to leave, but I'm still going to keep investing into him, because what if I don't invest? What if I don't invest into him and he stays? Now I've got someone that doesn't have the skill set I need him to have. So no, empower your people and find out what it is that they want to have a better life. And I promise you'll have a better life. I love that, what you do there.
Yeah.
What do you guys do how do y'all engage with the local community to enhance the brand's reputation?
All right. So, and that's a really good question, because I really, really believe in showing up in the community, right? Because a lot of times as an individual, you show up in the community, right? So you show up. Jonathan shows up at church. Jonathan shows up at the local fair with his boys. Jonathan shows up at the food bank, himself.
Right.
But rarely do our companies show up at that event, right? And so you have to be intentional about that. For example, right now there's a girls baseball team. There's like 14-year-old girls. I don't know any one of them. I don't have a kid on the team. I don't have to, but I sponsored all the uniforms. I put a banner up with one exception. My logo is going to be on the uniform. Yep. My logo is going to be on the banner, but I pay for everything. And that's the company showing up in the community, right? And I got a lot of thanks from the moms and all them saying, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for doing that. That's the company showing up. But a lot of times what we do is, and I hear a lot of this from my clients, well, I don't want to brag. And if I do it, I want to do it in secret. You don't have to. It's not bragging. The more you show up in your community as a business, the more business you will get back, which means the more you can give back to the community. It's a cycle.
Yep.
right? So you have to find ways to show up. If you have a festival in town, if you have concerts in town, if you have local baseball teams, make sure that your business is being seen at community events. That is a powerful way to win. And a lot of times, the big companies, where a lot of the small companies, you hear it all the time, they say, well, big companies are just big because they have unlimited budgets for ads.
Yep.
No, big companies are big because they've earned trust. And 9 times out of 10, if you go to the local soccer game, that's the logo you see.
You're 100% right. Man, and listen, I've been on this big soapbox for many months now, but it feels so good having a contractor saying these same things, right? Because I've been I get some backlash from other marketers and with some of the things that I'm saying, and it's like, listen, I know my clients that are winning, they have very, very strong brand equity in their communities. They earn that brand equity. They're showing up on the radio. They're showing up in the local baseball teams. They're showing up at the local community events. They're going into individual neighborhoods and they're cooking hamburgers and hot dogs for that community. Like, they're getting in with the HOA. Like, they're doing it the right way. And people, everyone needs to look and think of a pie chart. 5% of that pie chart, it's 4 to 6% is what they say. 5% of that pie chart is your community right now, your service area that needs a contractor today. Whatever service you do out there, only 5% needs you today. At any given time, only 5%. But that's 5% not that needs you, that needs a contractor that does what you do. So everyone's fighting for that same 5%. But the 95%, that's every other homeowner that lives in your service area. They don't need you today, but they own a home. They have plumbing in their house. They have an air conditioning system. They've got a roof over their head. They're going to need you, but you have to invest into them before they need you. Yeah. That's where you got to show up. And listen, I think a lot of these contractors, it's not their fault. They have come in, like you talked about the phone book earlier. So you're old enough to know how the phone book worked. And that was the only real, other than the newspaper, the newspaper was the only lead generator that existed. Right. Yeah. Because you could change your offer each week in the newspaper. Yep. The phone book, some people had an offer in there, but you had to honor it for the whole year because they weren't going to update the phone book. And so we came into a digital world, and that's why I call it the tech cartels, because I can't stand these companies because they have misled the world on how to do marketing and advertising. Yep. And they've said, don't do that billboards and radio and TV and postcards. Don't do that stuff. You can get clarity on return on ad spend. You can get a quantifiable number, and you can know exactly where to go buy your leads and lead generate. There's no such thing as lead generation when it comes to digital at all. It's lead capturing. All you're doing is capturing a lead that that Google brought to you. You still got to do everything else to that lead, like try to build trust, try to get some brand equity, try not to make it a transactional relationship. But the only lead generator in my mind is when you pick up the phone and cold call a customer or a homeowner that doesn't know you, or you go knock on that door, right? If you go do door canvassing and hey, here's who I am, and I'd like to offer you a free cleaning or a plumbing inspection, you generated that lead. That's lead generation. When Google brings it to you, it's just you capturing it, and now you got to call it, book it, schedule it, hope they don't cancel. Your truck still has to get to their driveway eventually. But if you go out and generate it yourself, the truck can pull right up in the driveway and start. But nobody does that, right? We're all relying on some other tech company to generate a lead for us. And I'm telling you, and you've mentioned it, I'm so thankful that you said it, that when you get those leads, and they don't have any kind of love or trust for you because you have no brand awareness with them, it's going to be more expensive. It's going to be harder to actually convert and close on that deal. Your ticket's going to be much lower than someone that is a customer of yours, a maintenance contract, someone who has been bought into your video content. Like you said, I see your trucks everywhere. There's a story I like to tell. I've got a client that's turned into a friend of mine in Southern California. He's in Lancaster. He owns a company called All Heart Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. And I was out there with him. My video team was out there shooting video content. And we're about an hour away from his main office. And we were pulling in this little old town where there was a train depot that's not active anymore, but we wanted to get his trucks going past the old train depot. And we pull up into the parking lot. We drop the video guys off on the street to get the footage. Him and I pull into the parking lot. And when we pull up and get out of the back of the truck, we're walking to the back of the cab. Out of nowhere, it almost sounded like it was coming from the heavens, right? We heard, all heart heating and cooling, comfort is only a heartbeat away. And we look up and there's this like 80-year-old man in a rocking chair at the train depot singing that song. And I looked at the owner and he goes, see, this shit works. And I was like, man, that old man, I could tell he's never been a customer. He saw that logo on my client's truck and his brain lit up because they've invested into their jingle. They put it on TV, they put it on radio, but it's like, that's what you have to have happen is when someone's in that fight or flight. That old man didn't need it. He just saw it. And it was kind of like the safe light repair, safe light replace.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, if his water heater bursts or his air conditioning goes out, his head's going to light up and sing that same song. And he's going to call All Heart. Right. But people don't want to invest into something that won't instantly turn into a customer.
Because they'll say they need money now. They'll say, I need leads now. We need, and you do need it now.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're going to need it now, 6 months from now.
That's right. Also. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
To keep paying for those transactional leads. Right. And I don't think, look, we're so transparent at our marketing agency, but I don't think these marketing agencies like really tell customers what leads cost. Because when we do our financial budget planning with the client, like week 1 of their onboarding, we listen, paid ads through PPC or LSA, they're going to range anywhere from $300 to $550 cost per acquisition at any time of the year, like different times of the year. Can you afford to pay $550 for a new customer? Right? Because that's just your lead cost. That's not what it costs to get your technician out there, the truck that you have, the insurance that you have, none of that.
Yeah.
You just told me your average ticket is $415.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you a lead cost is going to be $500. Like, do you see that the math isn't mathing? And it's like, man, I think I'm so glad to have you on. And I'm so thankful that this is exciting for me because more contractors need to put out there that, listen, without a brand, your business is going to be really hard to scale and grow because you're going to have to go buy all those new customers and they're not going to just lay down and go, yeah, I'll take option C you gave me with all the bells and whistles. They're not going to do that.
Right.
Not going to happen.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about marketing kind of, what channels or strategies have you found to be most effective for you to find new customers?
So new customers, number one, referrals from my existing customers that's free. I just text everyone and say, hey, we're giving $25 for every person that you refer. Okay. That was free. Well, it costs $25, right?
Yeah.
Networking
the lowest cost per acquisition you'll ever find in your life.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a hot referral because it's coming from their friend, right? Yeah. Networking groups, BNI, Chamber of Commerce, and this is one of my secrets I don't like to give out all the time, but it's local contractors in your city.
Yeah.
Right. Another HVAC company in your town, one bigger than you, one smaller than you. Why not? Electricians, plumbers. So for me, it's all about referrals. If you want to go digital, local Facebook groups, Nextdoor app, because that's all that stuff should be done first. And then once all that's being done, then you should be running Facebook ads and all of that. Only if you're doing the free stuff or the low hanging fruit first.
I love it. So you mentioned Facebook. What have you ran ads on? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? What about YouTube? And then how do you tailor your content across these platforms to maximize engagement versus kind of, brand awareness versus lead generation?
Yeah. So what I do is on mine, I like to, everything I do is branded. Okay. Yep. So you're not going to see a video that doesn't have a truck in the background, or if I can't do it, I'm going to put that logo on the screen. It's going to be super short and it's going to address a customer's problem. You rarely see me saying, hey, I want to come service your AC. It's going to be, hey, did you know your electric bill is high because of your AC? It's always going to address the customer's problem. I run YouTube ads. YouTube is amazing because if someone watches your YouTube video, YouTube's going to do the work for you now. Mm-hmm. It's going to recommend your videos. Facebook, the Pixel, all of that. That's all your expertise. Yeah. I've done them all. I particularly like YouTube and Facebook and TikTok because it's so viral.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love what you said there because people need to understand what Michael's talking about there. That's top of funnel, right? You're educating, you're building trust and credibility by saying, here's why your power bill is high. Here's why you should do X, Y, and Z. You're educating people. And when they watch that and they can look and have this feeling inside of, wow, I didn't know that. That's super interesting. Like that's the kind of stuff that they'll get sticky and they will remember it. And then all you got to do is build a funnel to say, okay, I'm going to put out this series of video content on educating people. And I'm going to tell the platform, anybody who watches more than 30% of this video, I want to retarget them and I'll push them down to what I call the middle of the funnel. And that's where you can show testimonials from other happy customers. You can show a whole system being installed, replaced, and the testimonial at the end of it, your story brand video, right? Because now they're buying into you. Yeah. And then you tell the platform, okay, well, the people who watched my educational stuff up here and they watched my brand building and brand like trust stuff in the middle, well, let's push them down to the bottom of the funnel. And you can put offers in front of people, but you don't want to do it until you've built that layers of trust, right? But again, you're going to have to invest in people and your video content without expecting anything in return right out the gate because you're educating people. They're there to watch it and build awareness and trust. And then at some point, you'll have this group of people, this audience, this custom audience, and you'll go, man, these people have been watching all my content. I'm going to put a new system for payments is whatever, right? Because you don't want to put it in front of strangers. You want to put it into front of people that have seen your logo, seen your brand, and have been watching your video content. People, marketing companies especially, they like to flip that funnel and say, we can get you 30 new installs in 30 days. It's like, no, you can't. Like no stranger is going to raise their hand on Facebook and go, yes, I'm just happen to be looking for a new air conditioning system. People, remember that 5%. There's only 5% of your business, your market that needs you at any time.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned earlier email marketing. What are you guys doing for email marketing? What advice can you give to people out there that may have not been using email marketing?
Okay. First thing you need to do is start it. All right. Get a really good email client, whatever it is, Constant Contact, MailChimp, whatever the marketing company has, doesn't matter. Something that you can be consistent on. And the goal of an email is not necessarily just to ask people for things all the time. That's not the goal. The goal is to be a trusted partner, a trusted friend, because you want them to open your emails every time. And if you're always selling something, when they see your email pop up, they're going to be always selling something and I don't want it right now, so they don't read it. Yeah. Right. So, for example, it's hurricane season where I'm at. I just sent an email last week. These are the 7 things you can do to prepare your house for when the hurricane comes. Has nothing to do with air conditioning, but I bet you they open it. Right. Yeah. So when they open, then like, wow, that was helpful. Then the next one, wow, that was helpful. Then when I send the one when I need money, revenue for my company, and I'm going to run a special, they're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh, it's always good. They're going to open it. Yeah. So the goal is to get people to open your emails. Then the second goal is to get them to read the email and click something, right? But that's, for people who you're not doing any emails, just start the email newsletter. It's the level 1. Think about something that your customer needs. You know what your customer needs because you're an HVAC contractor. Yeah. And write 2 to 3 emails on what your customer needs, what can help them, and schedule them out 3 months. And when you schedule them out 3 months, you have 3 months to write the next 3, right? So you always want to have them going so that when summertime comes, because it's coming, you have hit them multiple times between now and May. And when their AC breaks, it's not, can you go to Google and find someone? It's, oh, hold on, babe, let me go on my email. Yeah. Yeah. It's very powerful.
It is powerful. I've got clients that put like recipes in their emails, and like the customers look forward to it. Like they'll share these family secret recipes, and like the people just, and then they're putting air conditioning information, some tips and stuff, but they turn it into a newsletter where they're also providing something that is just keeping people excited to keep getting the email.
Yeah.
All right. So we're coming to the end. What does the next 12 or 18 months look like for you, Michael, both at AC Man and at Sales Elite?
So for AC Man, the next 6 to 8 months, you said, is right now I have my son is 20 years old, and he's out in the field, and the goal is for him to get better at his craft, and sometime within 2026, maybe 2027, for him to start running things in the office. So that's the goal. For Sales Elite, the goal is to get as many contractors that are struggling, because I know what it's like, right? I write this story in my book about how hard it was to get as many of them to meet with me, talk to me, reach out to me, hit me up a messenger. You don't have to hire me, but to get as many of them to a place of comfort and financial freedom as possible. So I'm in that transitionary period where I just want to help people, and that's where I'm at.
What does the program look like for people that might be interested in reaching out to you? The Profit Elite, the Sales Elite. What is it a mentor? Is it a coaching group? Is it one-on-one? What does it look like?
Yeah, so it's a consulting group, and there's levels. There's several different levels. We have videos. So if you come into a program at level 1, we have a group call once a month. Bunch of contractors meet, I lead, I teach something, and then there's like a Q&A session, and they all learn from each other. Okay. In addition to that, there's a lot of videos that I made where they can watch on their own. Second level is I put you with a one-on-one coach. You still get the group call, but you also get the one-on-one call once a month with a business coach who runs a 7-figure company. Not someone who learned it from a book, not someone I hired and trained, an actual contractor. And I would say the absolute lowest level is find me on Messenger. Yeah. Ask me a question. I'll help you, or get the book,
where they found the book. That's what I'm going to ask. Where they found the book.
Go on Amazon. It's called The Profit Playbook. You just type The Profit Playbook or Michael James Johnson. You can find it right there on Amazon. Probably the cheapest business consulting you can find. The book's $14, and it has these QR codes in here right in the front that leads to some free videos. $14. All right.
I love it. Well, Michael, it's been a pleasure having you here today. And, you gave some amazing, impactful advice that anyone, whether they're $50 million company or a $50,000 company, can learn from. And I just appreciate you being here and sharing everything.
Awesome. Thank you.
I do appreciate it. Have a good one, man.
All right.